1 Samuel chapter 1, beginning at verse 2. Elkanah had two wives, one wife named Hannah and the other was named Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah did not. Every year Elkanah left his town of Ramah and went up to Shiloh. He worshiped the Lord all-powerful at Shiloh and offered sacrifices to the Lord there. Shiloh was Eli's son. Hophni and Phinehas served the priest of the Lord. Whenever Elkanah offered his sacrifices, he always gave one share of the food to his wife Peninnah and a share of the other food to each of Peninnah's children. Elkanah always gave an equal share of the food to Hannah. He did this even though the Lord had not let Hannah have any children. Elkanah did this because Hannah was the wife he really loved. Peninnah always was upset Hannah and made her feel bad because Hannah was not able to have children. This happened every year when the first family went to the Lord's house at Shiloh. Peninnah would upset Hannah so much that she would begin to cry and would not eat anything. One year when this happened, her husband Elkanah said to her, "Hannah, why are you crying? Why won't you eat? Why are you so sad? You have me. I'm your husband. Isn't that better than having 10 sons?" Evidently, Hannah didn't think so. Amen. Amen. When we study Hannah, we learn that Hannah means gracious, and we learn that it comes from the slight change of Anna and Ann. When we look at what Hannah really represents, Hannah really represents a woman of God. And not only does she represent a woman of God, she also represents a woman that's in tune and in touch with God. When we are in tune and in touch with God, we don't want necessarily things for ourselves, but our requests to God are things that we have made for God and to ourselves. Amen. We learned tonight that she was beautiful in spirit. Beautiful in spirit. That's a trait that we ought to find out that's nurturing and consuming the house of prayer, that we ought to have beautiful spirits. If we don't have beautiful spirits, it could be because even though we live here, we have a daddy somewhere else. And so sometimes because we don't have beautiful spirits, you can't expect people to have the spirit that they daddy have. Amen? Yeah, if God has a beautiful spirit and we are characteristics of God, what kind of spirit should we have? We ought to have a beautiful spirit. Not only that, but we know that in this time, they were the concept of polygamism, and they practiced polygamism, which means that they had more than one wife. And when a woman could not have a child, then he would marry again, and when she couldn't produce anymore, he would marry again. We still hear this. I got a chance to witness this polygamism when I went to Utah. And got a chance to see that in Provo, Utah. It's more prominent in Provo, Utah than it is in Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City, even though it does rain in Salt Lake City, but it's more prominent in they have the polygamous camps in Provo. And so he had two wives. And we know one was named Peninnah and one was named Hannah. And Peninnah was the barren wife. and she would bear children for him, but Hannah was the one that could not bear. And so it constitutes that too many times there was a young lady called me, and they had a big thing in the church. And what happened was in the church was this man this pastor married the wife, and he said he loved the wife. She was an older, lady. And what happened was, then later on, come to find out, I guess they didn't discuss that. They just had hot passion. And when the discussion came up, it was discovered that she couldn't have no children. Well, after she couldn't have no children, well, he decided that he wanted to get rid of her. And the discussion was called, and they asked me. I said, well, they should have found that out before they got married. Many times there's not enough of discussion. Yeah, that's too much activity and not enough of discussion. Yeah, and so sometimes our activity will get us in trouble, because when we need to be finding out things, some people say we be stroking. But anyway, in that we found out that even though between that man and that woman, we know that could have been a whole lot of conflict. But because Hannah had such a beautiful spirit, she did not cause any conflict. And notice that Elkanah was more in love with Hannah, who did not have a child, than she was with Peninnah, who bore the children. And I need to tell you that having babies ain't a good way to make a man fall in love with you. Yeah, amen. If he don't love your babies and nothing else, it won't do you no good. And so consequently, her love, his love for her, was not necessarily based on what her biological body would produce. Yeah, because number one is that even though she had children, she had a bad spirit. Yeah, she was always keeping up ruckus. Yeah, she was always shoo-shooing at Penna, picking at him, like I can produce. Yeah, and you can't. Yeah, your sisters does not produce, and like mine can. But you have to understand that does not have anything to do with love. And so what happened is that Hannah was mature enough to know that her husband really loved her. And so, but even though she didn't love her in the Jewish relation, in the tradition, we always know that in Jewish they had a culture, and that culture, people looked down on you. Yeah, when you could not have a child, when you were barren. Amen? Amen. Let's go to the Old Testament speaks. The Old Testament speaks, when we look at the Old Testament speaks, we know that she had grief. And I don't care what kind of condition you are. It's all right for you to have a condition. But really, when you have a condition that's derogative, don't nobody want that condition to be exposed. Yeah, you got to understand that the Jewish culture was, even though she didn't have no baby, she didn't want to be ridiculed that she couldn't have one. It's all right to have some shortcomings, but you don't want nobody ridiculing you. Yeah, you don't want nobody picking at you and all that stuff, because it'll make you tell them something if you don't pray. Yeah, early that morning, that flesh will rise up in you and make you say some things that you wouldn't normally say. Don't nobody want to be picked on. They always told me, if you picked at a soul long enough, it'll start bleeding. Yeah, have mercy, Lord. And so even in her grief, she was under traditional pressure, because a woman they didn't have much respect for a woman that couldn't have a baby. Yeah, and so she was under traditional pressure. Isn't that amazing that how much pressure that we put under women today? Yeah. Women under pressure, a lot of them under pressure to have babies.